Welcome to World News Tonight. Breaking news, an epic and deadly storm that won't let up. The treacherous flooding and the dramatic rescues. Some families losing everything. This home swept away. And tonight, where the dams are bursting. Desperate search, a cargo ship and its crew vanishing in Hurricane Joaquin. Tonight, we're with the Coast Guard, the grim clues they've discovered. Survivor story, the student who made it out alive from that campus mass shooting. The hero who shielded her from the bullets. Plus, that veteran who jumped into the line of fire speaks out. And new details about the gunman's final moments. Killer cover-up? The death of a 13-year-old girl on a dark road. A hit-and-run mystery. The fake accident to throw off police. Tonight, how they may have cracked the case. And bear scare. This wild video of a pint-sized pup taking on two bears, showing it's not how big the dog is in the fight. It's how big the fight is in the dog.
This is ABC World News Tonight.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Tom Yamas. Let's get right to that breaking news. A coastal storm in the east shattering records, historic rain levels, and devastating flooding. And in South Carolina tonight, a state of emergency. The roof of this building in Columbia collapsing. Cars flooded to their roofs. Take a look at this rushing water. Firefighters rescuing people trapped in their vehicles. 4 people killed in the storm since Thursday, and the rain still coming down. That's the storm right there along the coast at its peak. Still hovering tonight, fueled by moisture from Hurricane Joaquin there at the bottom, now battering Bermuda. We have team coverage tonight across the storm zone, and we begin with ABC's Alex Perez, starting us off from Columbia, South Carolina.
Grasping for life, crews using a rope to rescue a person trapped on this flooded South Carolina road. And take a look at this mom's face, grief and relief, as firefighters get her 4-year-old son out of a stranded car and back into her arms. A marathon of rescues in Columbia, South Carolina, the situation dangerous for even trained rescuers.
We've had a West Columbia firefighters swept away and they've lost visual contact.
2 firefighters rescued today.
There's so much water here that it's easy to forget this is a roadway, not a river. You look in the distance and you see scenes like this. See there? 3 cars completely submerged.
The water up to the rooftops of some homes, these residents trapped on the upper level. This storefront collapsed. Roads giving way, dams bursting. Jeff Graydon says the water was rising by the second. He escaped with his wife. Their home now somewhere underneath all this water.
It's tough because everything that I own, that I know of, has been destroyed. All my memories, everything that I've worked for.
Countless neighbors like Scott Weber volunteering all day and night to get people to safety.
So when I saw what was going on, I just felt the need to help.
Some who lost everything they owned, just grateful they'll get a chance to start again.
It's heart-wrenching, but I'm so glad that we're safe.
And now the big wait for all of this water to start receding. The current so strong it knocked down the front wall of that restaurant. The cleanup process here only just beginning. Tom?
Still a dangerous situation, and the weather will not let up. Alex, thank you. We turn next to ABC's senior meteorologist Rob Marciano with the big picture tonight, reporting from Lansing, which is just north of Charleston.
A stubborn system battering the East Coast for nearly 4 days, and it won't give up.
Oh man, this is deep.
Historic rain for Charleston. Over the weekend, their wettest day on record.
Well, this is a very serious situation.
Parts of the state getting more than 2 feet of rain since Thursday. Many neighborhoods submerged.
It's getting deeper. I'd say at least 3 or 4 feet in here.
Outside Charleston, our first look at the damage left behind. Heather Stefan's parents' house got 2 feet of water, wrecking furniture, soaking drywall and floors.
You can see the water line right here. This is a real good indicator of how high it came up in this room.
The path of destruction stretching north, too.
It's in the water.
This house in Middle Township, New Jersey, swept away. Back in South Carolina, the East Coast's busiest interstate, I-95, a nearly 75-mile stretch, now shut down.
Significant flooding already occurring again in South Charleston.
Just a week ago in South Carolina, they were bracing for Hurricane Joaquin, which pulled out to sea. Residents say this storm's flooding worse than Hurricane Hugo of 1989.
They're talking about at least maybe 3 more inches coming in, so I'm a little bit concerned.
The creek that normally runs behind this neighborhood, usually 6 feet wide, today over 100 yards wide, and it's a river at a level these folks have never seen, Tom.
Oh, Rob, that flooding is incredible. How much longer will this go on, and how much more rain can they expect?
Well, right now we're in a bit of a hole just outside of Charleston, but look at the radar. Charleston getting some more rain, as is Columbia, where they really got hit hard today. The future radar shows this storm kind of winding itself and pulling some of that moisture into the coastline. So it becomes a little bit more of a coastal event as we go through tomorrow. The winds are going to pick up as well, and it gets into the outer banks. So this will become a substantial coastal storm over the next 48 hours with more rain in the flood-prone areas. I should mention that Hurricane Joaquin, a Category 2 storm right now, abreast of Bermuda. That was a storm giving us quite a bit of moisture. Thankfully, it's moving out to sea later on tonight, Tom.
And that's where we move next. Rob, thank you. Caught up in that hurricane, a U.S. cargo ship and its crew of 33 last heard from on Thursday morning. The Coast Guard combing 30,000 square miles of open seas, and tonight, a grim breakthrough. They've discovered a huge field of debris. ABC's Lindsay Janis is in Miami with the Coast Guard and those clues.
Tonight, a break in the search for the missing cargo ship, the El Faro, carrying 33 crew and 28 Americans. A 225 square mile area of debris with what appears to be styrofoam, wood, cargo, and other items found. Earlier in the day, we were with the Coast Guard as crews discovered a container and oil sheen floating in the ocean.
I'd say it looks like a 55-gallon drum.
It is common for ships that are transiting through a storm or any type of heavy weather conditions to lose things off their deck, off their topside decks.
And late Saturday, the Coast Guard pulling this life ring out of choppy waters. It's been 4 days since the El Faro went missing, right in the path of Hurricane Joaquin. The 790-foot vessel was traveling from Jacksonville, Florida, destined for Puerto Rico. The captain making a distress call near Crooked Island in the Bahamas Thursday morning, saying the ship had lost power, taken on water, and was listing 15 degrees in an area known as the Bermuda Triangle.
A ship is the most vulnerable when they are disabled, when they are without propulsion.
Among those on board the ship, 46-year-old Jeremy Ream from Pine Island, Florida, and Danielle Randolph, 34 years old, from Maine.
So I'm very hopeful. Until they find a reason for me not to be, I'm going to remain hopeful.
Tom, as of sunset tonight, the Coast Guard has searched 70,000 square nautical miles of sea, and they'll be back at it at first light tomorrow. Tom?
The family members of those crews still holding out hope. Okay, Lindsay, thank you. We want to turn next to the mass shooting at a college campus in Oregon. Stunning new details of the heroes and of those they saved. Grieving neighbors placed flowers at a memorial near the school, and people comforted one another at a prayer service. ABC's Neil Karlinski is there in Roseburg tonight.
Pastor Randy Scroggins' prayers were answered even before he stepped into church today.
She said, Daddy, number one, I began to pray. And secondly, I knew I was going to die today.
His 18-year-old daughter, Lacey, one of the closest witnesses to survive the gunman's rampage unscathed, saved by 20-year-old Trevin Anspach, who fell on top of her after he was shot, later dying.
I believe in the last moments that he had any conscience whatsoever, I believe he said, I am going to roll onto Lacey.
She lied under him, playing dead. Amazingly, sitting next to Lacey in church today, this man, the student they say was chosen directly by the gunman to live.
And said, you're the lucky one. You're not going to die today.
Scroggins says his daughter told him that the gunman asked students their religion, asked them to beg for their lives, but rounded them up and shot them anyway, saying, we will all be together in just a moment.
So he came in to execute.
Meanwhile, Chris Mintz, hailed a hero by survivors and shot 7 times, released this video.
Hello, everyone. I'm doing well, and I'm overwhelmed by the support that I've gotten from everybody.
The 9 victims range from 18 to 67. Alleged gunman Chris Mercer's final words overheard by Lacey.
And the words were this: you got me. I've had enough. I'm done.
The official cause of the gunman's death has been ruled as suicide, but the sheriff believes he was hit by officers first. There is still no known motive, Tom.
Neil, thank you. Overseas now to Afghanistan and the destruction of a hospital run by Doctors Without Borders by U.S. forces. 22 people killed, including 3 children. It appears to have been an airstrike targeting the Taliban that destroyed the hospital. A makeshift surgery ward, you can see it there, set up to save the wounded. President Obama sending his deepest condolences, but tonight that hospital is shut down as a war with the Taliban rages around it. Here's ABC's Alex Marquardt.
Smoke and flames filling the remains of the Kunduz hospital. In the aftermath of the airstrikes, those inside the wreckage lying stunned on the floor. The UN today called the tragedy inexcusable, possibly criminal. Doctors Without Borders, who operated the hospital, going even further.
We're saying that all the indications are that, yes, this was a war crime.
Doctors Without Borders says that of the 22 dead, most were staff and 3 were children. So far, the U.S. has only said that an American plane struck near the hospital and that there may have been collateral damage. Afghan officials accused Taliban militants of firing from the hospital, which Doctors Without Borders denies.
It was a completely normal evening. There was nothing untoward happening in the hospital at all.
One nurse writing about the aftermath, in the intensive care unit, 6 patients were burning in their beds. How can this happen? President Obama offering condolences, but no apology. While tonight, his Secretary of Defense, Ash Carter, called the situation confused and complicated. The Pentagon has promised a full and transparent examination of the incident, but Doctors Without Borders has already rejected that, calling for an independent investigation. Tom?
Alex Marquardt for us tonight. Alex, thank you. Back here in the States to the race for 2016. The frontrunners out protecting their leads this weekend. Hillary Clinton showing up on late-night TV, and Donald Trump making his case on the Sunday shows. And tonight, new polls showing their opponents are gaining ground. ABC's Mary Bruce reporting in from Washington tonight.
I wish you could be president. Yeah, me too.
With her poll numbers shaky, Hillary Clinton is offering an alternative, her lighter side.
All anyone wants to talk about is Donald Trump. Donald Trump? Isn't he the one that's like, you're all losers?
Clinton is hoping to reboot her image, facing a potential game-changing challenge from Vice President Joe Biden. The latest polling shows Biden, who has yet to make a decision, would bring Clinton's Iowa lead from 11 points down to 5, and she's still losing to Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire. On the Republican side, Donald Trump still in the lead.
I'm having a lot of fun.
But his support is slipping in the key states of Iowa and New Hampshire.
Do you get out before you get beat? It's not a question of polls. I'm not a masochist. I'm not somebody that needs to do this for other reasons.
Trump has 5-point leads in both states, but Ben Carson and Carly Fiorina are nipping at his heels. Fiorina, like the other outsiders, not afraid to say what she thinks.
The reason morale is down in the military is not because they don't want to serve. It's because they don't think their president cares about their service.
Now, as for Clinton, her new likability strategy comes at a critical time, as the first Democratic debate is now just 9 days away. Tom?
Right around the corner. Okay, Mary, thank you. And from the Vatican tonight, marriage and sexuality front and center. Pope Francis with a forceful defense of traditional marriage. But it comes after he downplayed his meeting with same-sex marriage opponent Kim Davis during his visit to America. And as a priest comes out of the closet, publicly announcing that he is gay and in a relationship, the Vatican firing him. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Terry Moran has it all.
Pope Francis today, speaking to bishops from around the world, strongly reaffirmed Catholic teaching on marriage, an indissoluble bond between man and woman, he called it. But typically, Francis didn't stop there, insisting on acceptance and mercy for all, even those experiencing divorce. And after a week of stunning revelations about his American tour, the Vatican now struggling to do damage control. Early in the week, the bombshell news that Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis met with the Pope and claimed he endorsed her actions.
He said, stay strong.
Then another stunner, the Vatican backtracks, says the meeting with Davis wasn't the Pope's idea. She was invited by Vatican officials in Washington, and Francis offered nothing more than common courtesy.
In the Pope's characteristic kindness and his warmth and hospitality, he shook people's hands and gave them rosaries.
And now this telling image, making another statement. Pope Francis last week in Washington embracing a former student, Yayo Grassi, a gay man who brought his longtime partner.
I do hope that it means exactly what it is, that he's not afraid to have a gay friend, that me being gay is no different than me having blue eyes.
A pope who reaffirms the teachings of his church, but who also seeks solidarity and inclusiveness far beyond them. As he has famously said, who am I to judge? Terry Moran, ABC News, London.
And we thank Terry for that report. Now with a possible break in a cold case that involved a 13-year-old girl. That teen killed in a hit and run. The alleged driver setting up a series of traps to throw police off his trail, even staging another accident. Here's ABC's Marcy Gonzalez.
Tonight, this man charged, accused of an elaborate scheme to cover up a hit-and-run accident that took the life of this 13-year-old girl.
I'm sorry, I choke up when I think about it. I can't really handle this.
For 4.5 years, Hadley Cave's family has struggled with that heartbreak as police tried to figure out who hit the teenager as she walked along this Indianapolis road and left her to die.
If the car had stopped, maybe it would have been aid brought earlier.
Police finally tracking down Christopher Stymack after a tip from his estranged wife. Investigators saying they discovered that the day after the deadly crash, Stymack staged another accident to cover up the damage to his car.
Obviously, it bothered him, and it's just like, why wouldn't you just come forward?
It is a question asked by so many grieving families. In 2013 alone, nearly 1,000 pedestrians in the U.S. died in hit-and-run accidents. For Hadley's mother, no explanation or confession, but while being questioned by police, Stymack reportedly asked officers to tell her he's sorry. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, New York.
Our index now, starting with NASA opening up its space archives tonight, releasing thousands of rare photos. These shots captured by the Apollo astronauts on those visits to the moon, eerie dark close-ups of craters there. And these two astronauts, Eugene Cernan and Ronald Evans, who's upside down there just hanging out, the cameras were attached to their spacesuits. Now to a college basketball scandal involving the University of Louisville. A former madam, Katina Powell, claiming in her new book, she and other escorts were paid to dance and have sex with team members and high school recruits. The staff member accused of setting it all up is denying those allegations. Now to two bears who messed with the wrong little dog. Check this out. Those bears on the hunt for food until they saw this little tough guy coming right at them. The brave French bulldog named Jules giving the bears a good scare, chasing them away from that California home. Jules is just about 20 pounds, but boy, is he brave. The bears, about 100 pounds each, took off running. I've been watching that video all day. Finally tonight, a farmer who just would not give up, digging in his field in Michigan when he thought he hit a fence post. Turns out he found a window back to the Ice Age. Here's ABC's John Donovan with the archaeological treasure.
When the crane first starts lifting, it doesn't really look like much, but now you see it? How about now? Of course, it helps to imagine what it used to look like, which would have been something like this. So this woolly mammoth, minus the wool, it turned up in a field where some drains were being placed to grow soybeans by farmer James Brisley.
Yeah, right where we're standing. Right here. Right.
Laying down some drains, he hit the bones and called the University of Michigan, letting them come out and pull it all out of there.
It's been overwhelming for me to have this many people out here.
The rules say the farmer gets to keep it if he wants.
We're hoping that it's going to end up in a museum.
While the University of Michigan scientist, he's already got some theories.
It was an adult male, probably in its 40s at the time of its death. Probably lived between 10,000 and 15,000 years ago.
And that puts humans here in prehistoric Michigan those same 10 to 15,000 years ago, because the theory is also that the dead mammoth was hunted by humans and that they stored it in a pond, holding it down by these three rocks as an anchor to keep it refrigerated, basically. Soon enough, it's all going to be soybeans again here, but it's going to be hard not to wonder what else is under that soybean surface. John Donovan, ABC News.
And right now, those bones are in a building on Brisley's farm, and by federal law, they belong to him. I hope that barn has a lock. GMA first thing in the morning. David Muir right back here tomorrow night. I'm Tom Yamas in New York. Have a great evening. Good night.